What's your strongest opinion that's not political, religious, or moral? Radio ads that have honking horns or sirens should be illegal, as should billboards. This is the woman I was looking for. I seem to recall if you hear an ad on the radio with a siren in it, you can file a complaint with the FCC. That's a horrible idea for a radio ad. It would freak me out too. I'm mad now. Lol. Billboards are illegal in Maine. Haps. Or NERCM. Or News or 40th Anniversary. Billboard. Free. Maine or. I too get spooked when a billboard honks on me. Speaking of advertising, I strongly feel the practice of restaurants making larger serving sizes cheaper per calorie compared to smaller sizes should be outlawed. On the surface, it seems like the customer is getting a great deal, but they are actually getting manipulated into spending more money and consuming more junk. It's a sophisticated type of dark patterning or predatory marketing scheme. Small, medium, large drinks, freeze. Pizza, XR should all be proportionally the same unit price. Period. There's an obesity epidemic in this country, from which I am a casualty, and I don't need yet another excuse to supersize myself because it gives the best bang for the buck. Edit. I do support wholesale pricing for goods purchased at big box and grocery stores. But there's nothing wholesale about ordering a small milkshake versus an extra large milkshake. If I buy a car, I want to own it without paying a subscription to use the radio or heated steering wheel. This is a thing. It now costs $18 or a month for heated seats in MIMS. Never predicted that microtransactions would transcend into actual cars. Ads with the skip button are more effective than ones without. If an ad has a skip button, you can choose whenever you are interested in said product or not. This provides more clear info to advertisers too. An unskippable ad makes a person associate the company with a negative experience, therefore downgrading the company. I've actually watched so many movie ads on TikTok even with the ability to skip them. If they were on YouTube with no skip option, no way I would have watched it. I completely agree with you. I especially hate those Google or Samsung ads because they say "Hey Google" multiple times during the ad and it activates my Nest Mini. I either have to run for the mute button or scream "Hey Google." No. Hey Google, stop. I don't particularly care what a TikTok star or the Lawrence brothers are currently doing with their time, but they're messing with my day. 2. Day life. Plus ads in the middle of YouTube videos make me just hate that company and get annoyed at the channel, even though it's not their fault. Weekends are sacred and you can pray me free Saturday out of me cold dead hands. And even then good luck because it will have hot. Glued it to my hands. Jokes aside, self-care and stressing are important. Take care of yourself, people. Edit. For everyone saying this comment is indeed political or religious. I'm just saying that having some time off to recharge or take care of personal stuff is important. It does not matter when or how that time off is, as long as you have some. I just want people to be healthy. My boss asked me to come in on Saturday next month. Every Saturday. All month. In response, I took off all the Fridays. Due to corporate policy, he can't deny it. At the end of the month, he'll be quitting. This is the 5th time in less than a year has tried to get me to do regular overtime, and I've had enough. If he wants someone working on Saturday, he can do it himself. Edit. I'm getting tired of all the people saying, I should have. Just said no, so let me explain why I did. I've been at this company 2 years, and I've been just saying no since day one. I was literally asked to stay late on me first day. For a while I did it because COVID had just started and I didn't want to lose me job. I was very lucky to have a job at all, and I knew it. But the demands for more overtime, more work, more responsibilities, it all kept growing. Soon I was working 10 or 11 hours a day, Mom. Sat and another 3 or 4 hours most Sundays. I was doing the work of 3 people and barely making enough money to live. Keep in mind I did get paid for most of this overtime, maybe half of it. No odd bonus to speak of. Finally, after 8 months of this, I put me foot down. I went back to 40-hour weeks, no overtime unless it's paid and I choose to do it. My superiors weren't happy, but replacing me wasn't easy and they knew it, so they had to deal with it. Lately they've started pushing me to do more overtime again, but they still refuse to pay me for it. So, I'm done. I'm already planning on moving, but me plans to transfer to a different location are now out the window. I'm way past me limit with this company. They're lucky I'm still here at all. So no, I won't just say no. I've been saying it for months and they don't listen. I've always loathed overtime, especially weekend overtime. I used to get asked to do overtime every single weekend and I would always say no. One time they said we start at 6, finish at 12. No one does anything before 12 on a Saturday. I said, you are absolutely correct. I don't do anything after 12 either. As someone who has added though and detests mornings, the worst part about working is getting out of bed, going to work, and then the next couple of hours until I'm actually awake. Doesn't matter what time we start, we still have to do that, so I'm gonna have it off, dog. I heartily endorse this comment. Even if I have no plans for me free time, no, you cannot have me Saturday. A day with no particular plans is a great one. If you take a shit at public toilets, flush. Also when you are at someone's home. Wait, who doesn't flush their shit on any toilet? I don't get people who don't flush toilets. Just why? It's not like they were being charged for toilet water. Also stop pissing on the seat. People should learn that saying I don't know is a perfectly acceptable thing to say, and very often the most accurate. Also, I don't have an opinion on that. It was such a relief to realize I didn't need to have an opinion on everything. Yes, best doctor I ever had gave this answer to a question I had, then took me across the hall to her office where she pulled a book off the shelf and looked it up. This is a good one. My wife will say this when we are disputing something, and for the longest time I read it as she was just trying to avoid the conversation, but I am realizing that, as an internal thinker, that at the present moment she really did not know how she felt or what she thought regarding whatever we were discussing. Now we work on saying, oh, just let me know when you figure it out. Being a game changer when it comes constructive conversations. This has honestly been a game changer for me at work. Rather than taking a guess at something and getting it wrong and facing the consequences, I say I'm not sure on that one. Let me check with this person. The information I give to people is so much more accurate thanks to just admitting when I don't know something. I also find it helps me during arguments. Rather than set myself up for failure by defending things that might not even be true, I admit where I don't know something and be willing to learn and stick to me convictions when I don't know something. Swimming should be taught to every child. As a swimming teacher and school swimming teacher, this is a hill I will die on. It is a life-saving skill to be able to swim. It can literally save your life one day. It breaks my heart to see children aged 11 come into school and it's their first time to even be in a pool. Please, please parents, if you have access to a pool and can afford it, put your kids in lessons as soon as possible. It can save their lives. One day. Edit. Just because this picked up a bit of traction, I also want to make OPSA. Drowning is silent. If someone is drowning, it's not like in the films 99 of the time where they are splashing, coughing and screaming for help. In fact, the person will go silent as they are trying to focus on conserving energy and often sink to the bottom. Please always, always be aware of the people around you, not just sounds. To piggyback off this, it should be taught at a very young age as well. Teaching a baby to float on their back after dropping in water is a literal lifesaver. I agree. Coming from a 26-year-old who can't swim, I've missed out on so many opportunities by not being able to swim. That, and the whole safety aspect of it. I wish learned how to swim at an age where I was massively affected by social anxiety and conscious about me body. Edit. Thank you everyone for your lovely responses. Regarding the body image issues, it's something I'm actively working on through diet and exercise with the help of a personal trainer. I've lost tanks 2012s in about 3-5 months. I've still got a way to go to get to a healthy weight for my height. I'm now 100 or 220s, but I'm proud of my progress so far. Learning to swim is very much on my radar. However, I want to feel more comfortable with my body before taking that step. I don't want to be the guy in the pool wearing a shirt. Actually, since reading all of the comments on this, I've sent out a few inquiries to local organizations about private one swimming tuition. I learned to ride a bike at 23 within a couple of hours. I can do this. Thanks everyone. Thanks. It's much more important to be predictable on the road than polite. When it is your turn, go. I really hate when I'm trying to turn left onto a side street on a 4-lane road and a car coming from the opposite direction stops so I can turn in front of them. Not only are they blocking traffic, they and the line of cars now stuck behind them are blocking me view off the lane to their right, so there's no way I'm going to turn before that mess clears up. Then they act like I'm being rude by refusing to go, like I'm the one holding them up. I think this is my favorite one on this thread. Well said. People need to stop being benevolent and changing the rules by allowing others to go. We have a set of rules that work without the need for hand signals and yelling out windows. Follow them and traffic moves faster. In addition to this, if pulling out in front of someone causes them to have to use their brakes, probably shouldn't pull out in front of them. Edit yup, brakes is what I meant, but I'll own it. Thanks for letting me know. Some elderly people are the worst. They're at crossing, and I have already stopped. Just cross the street. Don't wave me to go. There's a traffic circle near me and people will stop in the middle of the circle to let people in. The people coming in have a yield sign. You don't keep moving. I get so mad when someone who has the right of way trees to wave me through. Like bro, it is your turn. Why are 4-way stops so difficult? Yes, I hated that so much too. Everybody is expecting you to go because it's your turn. It's expecting you to say to be your turn. You to neither the people behind you nor the people you are being nice to expect your behavior. Everybody is getting confused and a chilled situation suddenly just got stressful. I'll always remember my drivers and instructors' rules for life. 1. Assume everyone on the road is a moron until proved otherwise. 2. Drive as safely and predictably as possible. 3. Refer back to rules on and 2. That you largely parent teens by parenting 0-12-year-olds. Them's fighting word. For real though. A good childhood should yield a good teenage years. Everyone makes decisions and can fuck shit up. But most teens labeled bad are just normal. But fuck up raising a kid and the chances of them getting it together in high school are low. I had never thought of it that way, and largely this is true. I always say this. My daughter jokes that we don't parent her and her brother anymore because now they are on autopilot. Thankfully, they are super respectful, hard working, and we never have a big issue. They are not the type to slam doors, talk back, or be disrespectful. They definitely voice their many differing opinions, but they are able to have a mature conversation. I think we were pretty firm on them when they were younger. No spanking or anything, of course, but very consistent. If we said something, we would try our best to always follow through, which I think has helped. Noticing this with me 14-year-old. She has just started her first job and does really well at school. No one seems to have a problem with her. At home she does not take no graciously. A lot of us giving in on small stuff that she would rapid-fire pester us for while we were struggling with her little sister. She does disobey, but we usually get about 10 minutes of arguing. Currently experiencing the teen years in me kids. It's much less hands on parenting at this point. More about being available for support and encouragement. Being equal feel so super cow and at the same time, however, if you screwed up when they were young but know better now, you should still put in that necessary effort and try to be a parent then, even if the end results may not be the same. That whole thing about planting a tree 20 years ago applies here as well. It's not a real meeting if there's no agenda. Plans are useless, but planning is essential. I just got an ass chewing yesterday morning for not going to a supervisor meeting on Thursday. My reason being the meetings are useless and nothing of value gets discussed. I specifically asked the supervisor beforehand who plans the meetings if there were any discussion points. He said no, so I did waste me time as I have other things to do. After me ass chewing, I asked one of me fellow supervisors what they talked about, and he said they talked about baseball for like 20 minutes and that was the whole meeting. Rack your weights, you meaningless excuse for intelligent life. In May gyms there are posters saying the last set is racking your weights. And it generally works. Drivers who don't indicate when turning your selfish scum. And they cause a lot of accidents. If I see your brake lights before your turn signal, you're doing it wrong. Every damn time I leave me neighborhood turning left at a 4. Way light ill have me left turn signal on, and there will inevitably be someone on the other side with no turn signal sitting there wondering what I'm going to do. Then they turn left. Social media may cause depression, including Reddit. Narcissism. It causes way more narcissism than depression at this point. I never could have imagined a society with so many selfish, self-indulgent, and centered people as we have now. Most of you don't even realize how much this applies to you. Old people needs to start playing some video games. I work as a nurse and all I see is elderly wasting away in bed with nothing to do. They don't use their brain much when they sit in hospital bed or skilled facilities bed. Seriously, get a hobby. Slow that cognitive decline. My dad is 74, and a year ago he brought me Vive and computer over to me parents' place and he tried it. He was instantly hooked. He'd spend hours playing their car on Steam, which is just a free tech demo where you drive around a flying car in a Blade Runner-esque setting. For his birthday this year, my brother and I bought him a Quest 2, and now he plays Medal of Honor all the time and calls me up every day to tell me the progress he's made. It's amazing. Also, my dad is or was not a gamer beforehand at all. Yep, my Jen's nursing home will look like a LAN party. I got me mother so hooked on Bejeweled that she became almost as insufferable as the Farmville people were on Facebook. I tried to buy her an iPad to use instead of sitting at the desktop, but she said, "Oh no, if you do that, you'll just play all the time." But you already do, and I'm just trying to move you over to the comfy chair. May. Trying to move you over to the chair. My dad watches YouTube videos he finds of college science classes. Lol, he loves it. His career was in metallurgical engineering too. And any kind of physical activity that they can do. I've seen way too many elderly that just refuse to go for simple walk because I'm old is their excuse. Simple walk that would make them feel better. But this is for everyone, not just elderly use it or lose it. There is reason why when someone in 70 falls and breaks bones then quickly waste away because of inability to move anymore. In life, once you stop, it's over. Both physical and mental exercise needs to be increased among the elderly, not just letting them sit and lay until they do. The only thing me 70-year-old parents do anymore is play Animal Crossing and Pokemon Go, and it's all they talk about. I have worked as an activity director since 2008. I get so many seniors who complain of boredom yet do not want to participate in any activities or anything I suggest. It's very frustrating because there is no accountability. They have no connection to finding a solution, only to the problem, i.e. boredom, and somehow I am supposed to fix that. I get a lot of, "I worked all my life, I didn't have time for hobbies." Well, you are currently 80 and have been retired for a while now. What have you been doing since? I get blank stares and no real answer. I often think I would be better off learning to tap dance than trying to get them to do anything. Lol. I bought me mom a Switch a while ago and bought her Breath of the Wild and Animal Crossing. She sailed through bot, and so we added her our expansion and showed her how to get into the only versions of the SNES and 64. And she's sailed through a few more Zelda games. I knew she'd enjoy it because it was her, all those years ago, that gave them to me. But she is definitely the kind of old where she never would have bought her own console. I agree with this so hard. My mother 62 just has no hobbies, and it worries to hell out of me. All she does is watch and watch series she's seen again and again. Her own mother developed vascular dementia and died shortly after. She was a shell of her former self, if I'm entirely honest. She did remember almost her entire family and her behavior changed. She was no longer able to look after herself. My mum absolutely dreads a future where she ends up the same way. I've tried many, many times to get her into video games. I gave her my old PS3 with some nice easy Lego games and Little Big Planet, but she played the latter for 20 minutes and turned it off. I gave her me old Wai, and she played some dancing games on it for a couple days before never going back to it. I gave her me Oculus Quest, after she expressed a lot of interest in, but again, she used it once and never used it again, despite enjoying it. At this point, I realized that video games are just not her thing, but given her physical disability and me plethora of unused consoles, video games would easily be the most accessible hobby for her. It even be something for us to connect over too, since we don't ever have much to talk about in shared experiences. I love you, Mum. I just want to figure it out before it's too late. Whoa, so many of the replies to this do not pass any kind of vibe check lol and clearly have no concept of elderly brain capacity and the variety of games available. Not talking about Call of Duty here, folks, lol. Or they could just do a puzzle lol, good lord people. Or they have arthritis and can also do that on an iPad. Bubble bust games, searching games, word and number games, so many slow-paced games that can help keep the mind sharp. My pawpaw is 80 and plays Dramario on the NES. It's insane. Insane. Has remarkable. My Meemaw says hell no to that controller. She plays card games non-stop on Pago. Games are great for everyone. I worry about me grandmother. She's 90 and does do a whole lot. She's going blind and does like audiobooks, so the only thing she really does these days is sit around. I don't know what to do to help. Do you have any suggestions? I really do worry. She always talks about how bored she is and no one in my family has any experience with visual impairment, so no one really knows what to do. When Gen X me generation, the first within home video games are all retired and in a nursing home, expect to see a LAN set up and us gaming constantly. Older people don't realize how broad the gaming spectrum is now. They hear gaming and all they think of is stuff like Call of Duty. I managed a video game store for a few years and was constantly stopping to talk to the parents and show them games I think they would enjoy playing with their kid. If little acts of courtesy or kindness were more normal, it would be better for everyone. Instead, most people act like assholes. For example, yesterday at the butcher they asked me and a lady who had both been waiting a bit who was next. She said me, but I saw her already waiting when I walked in and explained that. She then asked how much I was getting, as she would be getting a lot of stuff. I was only buying only thing, so we went first, and was done in less than a minute. Walking out, I realized how insanely rare an interaction like this is, and also how sad that is. Just two people being nice to each other and looking out for the other in a small way. This reminds me of one of my favorite quotes. Saruman believes it is only great power that can hold evil in check, but that is not what I have found. It is the small everyday deeds of ordinary folk that keep the darkness at bay. Small acts of kindness and love. Why Bilbo Baggins? Perhaps because I am afraid, and he gives me courage. Gandalf the Grey in the Hobbit movie. I treat Odo that in grocery stores if it's busy and the person behind me has way less items than I do. But I'm usually in the mindset of him not going anywhere right now anyways. So what's the pain in adding another 5 minutes? Kind of in the same vein, I've been making a point to tell strangers the nice things I think about them. If your shirt is cool or you're having a great hair day, I am absolutely going to let you know. Advertisements should never under any circumstance be more than 30 seconds long. YouTube. Plays ad that's over 2 hours long during music playlist. Printed mass. Mailed advertisements should be banned. So useless. Also all mail order. Catalogs and such. So instead of a 1 minute ad you now get 2 30-second zones. They still waste me time. Charities must be 100 transparent on all donations amounts and how it has been spent, including details of salaries and how much trips and things costed them to operate. In Singapore, a megachurch misappropriated 0 million in order to fund the pastor's wife's rap career. Or you too. Be ori. A 5Z waduk. Having worked in charity, I think a massive issue there is the exploitation of staff. Certain members of staff may not do more as such, but have far better salaries. I was on minimum wage in a department of phone, and they tried to give me a line manager who had no experience but nearly triple the pay, partly to do half the jobs I was doing. Knowing that made me resentful, and I know if other staff were privy to salaries I happened to know, they would have been a lot more pissed off. Another issue is that charities can be in deficit and still have to keep running, rather than helping you to fix that deficit. I was told people tend to jump ship from support rather than try to give you 10 million you need. You need to stay positive. Personally, though, I think being upfront is way better. Also, side note, in the case of World Wildlife Fund, they have very low-key issues that should be high-key. They helped the Ugandan government to kick out native Pygmy people from one of the world's largest forests to accommodate 300 gorillas. They live by the roadside now, and if they try to get fruit, anti-poaching squads funded by WWF beat them. They acknowledged similar behavior 20 years prior and briefly apologized, but it continues. While they were running ad campaigns with a teary-eyed elephant, one of their key backers was trophy hunting elephants. There's even a picture of him with one. So I can see where you're coming from. They should be transparent, but it's not necessarily the case that a charity's aim should be to minimize salaries and other costs. Transparency is very important, but trust is too. If you want your money going the furthest, let the nonprofit decide how to spend the money, or else your transparency will turn into half your money going to grant reporting and marketing. I work for a nonprofit 4 or 4 stars on Charity Navigator, and I have absolutely no problem with funders asking for our financial information even beyond what is publicly available. But don't ask for unique reporting on a specific thing. That just takes time and effort for us to create that could be better spent on our actual mission. If you want to invest in our mission, trust the people who are working with it every day. Most shows don't need as many seasons as they think they do. Quit while you're ahead and stop ruining perfectly good shows by stuffing them with garbage so you can get more money. Same goes with movies and sequels. Anyway, here's Fast and the Furious 20. Fawlty Towers is one of the most nationally loved sitcoms in the hook. Its total run was 12 episodes. No remakes and no spin-offs except for an advert a couple of years ago that parodied one of its most famous moments. A perfect example of quit while you're ahead. The Brits are pretty good at this. Some shows have very short runs, but they are quality runs, and for that reason they have longevity. Fawlty Towers, The Office, Blackadder.